There's a moment in history that hits you harder than any headline. The kind of discovery that makes you stop and think, wait, why did this disappear? During the 1940s, while the world burned in the chaos of war, people were keeping homes, barracks and field shelters warm using a method so efficient, so quietly brilliant, that modern heating systems, with all their electricity and electronics, barely come close. It wasn't magic. It wasn't expensive machinery. It was pure physics, smart design, and careful attention to detail. And the remarkable part is, it worked reliably, even when the power grid failed, when fuel was scarce, and when survival depended on it. You can actually replicate this principle today, by surrounding a wood stove with masonry stacking steel barrels filled with water nearby, or even building benches from brick to absorb and radiate heat. It's primitive, yes, but honestly, it's one of the most reliable ways to stabilize temperature in any off-grid or survival situation. Alongside thermal siphoning and mass, builders back in the 1940s mastered convection to move air without fans. Cold air was drawn from floors, warmed as it passed near hot surfaces like stoves or chimney flues, and then released at ceiling level or into adjacent rooms. These channels could be hidden behind walls under floors or inside stove surrounds, creating a gentle, constant airflow that relied solely on natural drafts. In Scandinavia, brick baffles created slow, consistent heat circulation. In the United States, wooden shrouds guided warm air into bedrooms or common areas. Over in Britain, through-draft warmers were used to pull cold floor air into a heated chamber and push it back out evenly. Today, you can recreate this by installing a simple shroud around your stove with a gap of a few inches, cutting vents at the bottom and top. Once the fire is burning, the air just begins moving naturally, dramatically increasing comfort without consuming extra fuel. The real genius of combining these three elements, thermal siphoning, thermal mass, and convection, is that the system becomes nearly impossible to fail. It doesn't rely on power grids, pumps, or electronics that could freeze or short-circuit during storms or wartime blackouts. Instead, it depends entirely on predictable physical principles, baked right into the home's structure. The result is steady, quiet heat that endures, performs, and keeps people alive in conditions that would honestly overwhelm modern systems. For historians and survival enthusiasts alike, these techniques are more than just curiosities. They're reminders that necessity breeds solutions that are elegant, durable, and practical. The 1940s weren't a time of convenience. They were a time of survival. And those solutions, gravity-fed water loops, cast-iron radiators, masonry heat storage, and natural convection channels, still work today because, well, physics hasn't changed, and good design never goes out of style. If you're serious about off-grid living, prepping, or simply appreciating the ingenuity of past generations, there's a clear path forward. Start by building thermal mass around your stove, integrate convection channels wherever feasible, and, if possible, construct a simple gravity-fed water loop. These aren't relics. They are working tools that put control back into your hands. No electricity required. So, if today's breakdown gave you some practical insight, if it sparked ideas for your cabin, or if it just made you appreciate the brilliant simplicity of wartime engineering, don't leave this video behind. Subscribe to The Hard Past. Share it with someone who treasures forgotten history. and comment with your thoughts or experiences. Dive into the past, because these methods aren't just lessons. They're strategies that still protect, still perform, and still inspire.